With this plan, we intend to modernize federal IT by replacing and retiring outdated systems that are vulnerable to attack. And I just want to say as an aside here, one of the biggest gaps between the public sector and the private sector is in our IT space, and it makes everybody's information vulnerable.
The Obama administration sent a new proposed budget to Capitol Hill this week. Tucked inside was a request for $19 billion to upgrade the nation's cybersecurity from something that would be fit for a covered wagon era to anything that would give us a fighting chance to slam a figurative window down in the hands of amateur cyber geeks and pro-hacking nerds. Experts wasted no time pointing out that the figure here, 19, that's nowhere near what's needed to get the job done. So we're once again faced with a government asking for billions and knowing full well more is needed, which will in the end waste time and money. Let's learn more about cyber defense and the dinero involved. Let's welcome back the Vice President for Policy and Communications at Citizens Against Government Waste, Leslie Paige. Leslie, always a pleasure to get a chance to see you. Now let's go ahead and talk about the General Accounting Office report on cyber defense and what CAGW learned about it.
Well, the Government Accountability Office has once again kind of thrown a little bit of cold water all over these wonderful, wonderful sound bites about how we're going to throw $19 billion at cybersecurity, which, by the way, we desperately need it because we've had all these hacks. We've had OPM, the Office of Personnel Management. We've had the IRS. We've had the Postal Service. We've had the Justice Department itself and the DHS, Homeland Security, all have been hacked in the last year, 16 months. And personal information has been dumped out on the internet and stolen. Now, the problem is as the GAO has discovered, is the one of our premier cybersecurity programs, which is called Einstein, and I doubt there's been a more inaptly named program in the history of government waste. But it's nicknamed Einstein, but it's the National Cybersecurity System, National Cybersecurity Program. And anyway, they're going to spend $5.7 billion over the lifetime of this program. That's the conservative cost. They've already spent about $1.2 billion, and it is not working. The Government Accountability Office just released the public version of a report that they put out last year, at the end of last year. This one's a little more redacted, and there's not a lot of information. But the harshness of this report was pretty astonishing. And basically, what they're saying is it's not working. It is sort of duplicating private sector efforts. For example, private sector software, these cybersecurity programs that agencies can use and get off the shelf are doing actually more good to find malware and cyber intrusions than the one that the DHS is actually building. They did a test. They tested 489 vulnerabilities that were already known to be out there. And they found that 94% of the time, this program missed them. And these are the ones that are known. So these are, I hate to bring up Donald Rumsfeld, but remember his old saying about, what keeps me up at night is not what I know I don't know, it's what I don't know I don't know. So even in this case, they aren't finding the stuff that's known.
And I think here's the thing that we need to focus on here, because we're always talking about waste. The federal government spends about $700 billion on defense, intelligence, homeland security. The spending on cybersecurity, 2.7% of the total defense budget. Leslie, we're right back where we always are, no matter where we come to. It circles down the drain and comes to a lack of imagination, and also the fact that we, or at least the government, is always trying to catch up on what other people have done before, but they don't think it through. There's no real thought process here. It's just like throw money at it and it goes away. Is there anything that stops this thinking?
Well, I mean, I'm not a cybersecurity expert, but I think there's a lot of confusion as to what this program was meant to do and what they've scaled it back to and what we really ought to be doing. There's a lot of confusion. They scaled back in 2012 the actual scope of the program, and now they're claiming, well, this program is only supposed to give us situational awareness, and each agency is sort of supposed to be responsible for stopping its own cyber threats, which, of course, this is a split accountability problem we run into time and time again in the federal government. Who is responsible for this? And if there's a breach, it's all about pointing your finger at the next guy, et cetera, et cetera. But I will say this. I mean, I would say that each individual ought to start to secure their own personal information.
See, I think that's the place to start here. The government cannot handle it properly. They're wasting our money doing it.
They're not going to be able to handle it.
Right. So what
That's
we
right.
need
And
to
they're
do
taking more of it.
as individuals in our homes and companies, we need to spend the money and the time to do it ourselves because we have to stop relying on the government for this. Look, I've only got a few seconds left here, but I've been looking at different reports coming out today saying this $19 billion is not even close to what's needed. You could throw $50 billion at it and we still wouldn't be caught up.
Well, and just let me quickly say, again, throwing money at something is always an awesome thing, and everyone loves it. It sounds great, but it's how they spend the money. It's beyond the veil. You've got to pierce the veil and look at what they're actually doing with the money. And if they've already spent 5.7 or about to spend 5.7, and they're 15 years behind the 8 ball, okay, that's by DHS's own testimony. He has said we're 15 years behind where we're supposed to be. By the time they get there, they're going to be 20 years behind what's coming next.
All right,
everything's
people.
moving very quickly, so we're sort of in trouble here.
Here's what you do, people. Spend your time wisely. Learn about where your tax dollars are being wasted. Learn about it, then you can say something about it. Go to cagw.org, and we do it every week right here. Leslie, always a pleasure. Good to talk to you again. Look forward to seeing you again next week. Stay with us. The fastest 60 minutes of news, The Hardline, continues.